Thanks.
Thank you. All right, what's up, everybody? We got Hazel in the house. Hazel's got a pretty cool program for us. Go ahead. Tell us what it is, what it's about, who you are.
Cool. So I'm Hazel and I work for Homeward. Has anyone heard of Homeward before? Couple, yes, no? Cool. So how many of you have had a trade-in buyer? Someone that has a home they need to sell first before they can purchase their new home. So they're kind of stuck. Yeah, cool. How many of people have been in multiple offer situations? Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Or how many people had like a client earlier this year, they were excited to buy a home and then they put their process on hold. They were frustrated with the market, kept getting beat out. Okay. Yeah. So it's just lots of people. Yeah, I hear that, Anthony. Well, cool. So that's what Homeward can help with. So first of all, it doesn't cost the agent anything, doesn't lower your commission. You're getting the same amount of commission. There's two products that we have. One is buy before you sell, and the other is buy with cash. Buy before you sell is for those trade-in buyers. You know, they have a home they need to sell first before they can purchase their next home. So they're kind of stuck either making sale contingent offers or moving twice, going into a short-term rental. The other product, buy with cash, is for people that don't have a home to sell, but maybe they're looking in a very specific neighborhood, school district, or they're getting in multiple offer situations a lot and they need cash to be able to compete. So the basics are we purchase the home, Homeward buys it with cash, with our money. We secure the home, then they buy it back from us with a mortgage. So if they have a home to sell, you'll list and sell their home like normal. We're not involved with selling their current home. You handle that just like a regular listing. And then after they've sold their home, they can get a mortgage and buy it back from Homeward. For buy with cash, we're just buying the house, securing it, then they're getting a mortgage, buying it back from us right after, like a normal transaction. So those are kind of the two categories that we can help with. Trade-in buyers, multiple offer situations to upgrade to cash. So we remove all contingencies. It's kind of like taking your entire pipeline, anyone that qualifies, and just turning them into cash buyers. Makes it a lot easier. Let's see what Carol said. Restrictions on the purchase. So we're buying the new home. So any restrictions would be on the new home. It can't be a manufactured home. It has to be livable. Can't be a flipping situation. And then that can't be in a flood zone. But in most cases, we're able to help. It can be a new build. So it can be a lot in a development. We'll secure the home, you know, builder deposit. And then once it's built, we'll purchase it. So not a ton of restrictions. We do have a minimum credit score of 680 for the program. So that's the most common thing that we run into where people can't use it. As
well as you can't refinance into an FHA. So in order for them to be a cash buyer, they're going to have to go through the vetting process with that program. And if they fall in the FHA guidelines, then that's done. We're doing conventional, VA,
and jumbo. Yeah. And we do have 3% down conventional options for people that, you know, are maybe first-time home buyers or they haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So if they can qualify for FHA and conventional, then they can still use the program. If they're both. Yes.
How long do they have to purchase the home from you? Is it sort of like a double close, like it happens immediately, or is it some form of like a month, 2 months later or something?
So for buy with cash, it's usually 1 month because we need to do the final appraisal, title needs to transfer. So they're usually buying it back from us within a month. For buy before you sell, it's after their home sells. Right after that, they have the funding and they can get a mortgage, they buy it right back from us. So average timeline for buy before you sell is 47 days right now.
So Harry brought up a good point in the last group. And so Hazel said this has never happened again, but let's say that your buyer buys the house and then they put their house on the market. Well, how many of us are having sellers right now kind of overprice their home? So what happens then after if it doesn't sell in 60 days?
So for buy before you sell, 6 months,
Or 6 months, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that shouldn't happen, you know, if their home hasn't sold in 2 months, you might want to lower the price a little bit, make it more reasonable. But worst case scenario, our exit strategy is we purchase their old home. So they can buy the new house back from us, so they would stay in their new house.
And that price is set up front, went through the vetting process.
Mhm. Exactly.
What do you do with their house after you buy it? You said that you buy their current house and then they can move out. And then I assume you guys would list that house.
Yeah, we would have to list the house.
Who do you list it with?
Good question. I'm not sure. I think we list it with someone internal at Homeward because we're already losing money on it. So we need to recoup some of that cost. Yeah.
Is there any, well, we can talk about it when I guess we get into a situation, but yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So how does Homeward get paid?
Yeah, so there's only 2 costs that are new when you're using Homeward. One is rent and the other is a convenience fee. So those are the only 2 things that are new. Rent is accrued from the day we purchase the home from the sellers until the day they buy it back from us. So while we're holding that home, they're not paying rent, they're accruing rent. And then it's paid at the end at closing. So rent is a line item at closing. They can't roll it into their mortgage. And it's based on our holding costs. So it costs Homeward money. Each day that we're holding the home, we're paying. So we cover part of those holding costs and they pay for the other part. So we don't actually make money off of rent. The faster that they can buy back from us, the happier we are as well. The way we make money is through the convenience fee. And the convenience fee can be added to the sales price and rolled into the mortgage if there's enough room in the loan. So the convenience fee, there's 2 different products again. So buy before you sell, the convenience fee is 1.9% of the purchase price of their new house. If they use an outside lender, it's 1.9%. If they use Homeward Mortgage to buy the house back, we give them a 0.5% seller credit at closing. So then their net convenience fee is 1.4%. So that's buy before you sell. For buy with cash, if they don't have a home that's part of the equation, still 1.9% with an outside lender. But if they use Homeward Mortgage, their seller credit at closing is 1.9%. So it's 0% net convenience fee if they use Homeward Mortgage. And that's it. Those are the costs.
One of the best programs I've seen out there, guys. A lot of programs like this, if you guys got to go into a bridge loan, you know, you got to be qualified on both ends. And that 1.9% convenience fee is typically less than your double closing cost on a bridge loan, plus your holding cost on the mortgage on the other side.
Mm-hmm. And less risk too. Like they don't have 3 mortgages out at once. Yeah. We're taking on that risk by buying the house for them. Yeah. So that's kind of the basics. A couple things to note is the earnest money deposit is still due during inspection when they win an offer. If it's under $1 million, the purchase price, it's 2%. And if it's over $1 million, it's 4%. And it's just like a normal earnest money deposit. So it works the exact same way. They get it back if they don't decide to move forward.
Okay. So when you say cash buyer, are they buying it underneath their name and they just have this side agreement with Homeward? Brady, mute yourself. Oh, never mind. I can do that. If they buy the house, are they buying it in their name or are we buying it in Homeward's name?
You're buying it in Homeward's name. So that the first close, you're representing Homeward. Okay. And we're buying it. And then the second close, they're buying it in their name because it's our proof of funds. We're taking on that risk. So it's simple.
So then the buyer's then submitting their earnest money. So let's say a buyer's using this program. I have to make the offer under Homeward's name. Buyer submits the 2% earnest money to the title company, or 2% goes to you guys, and then Homeward is actually the one who submits earnest money.
Yeah, 2% goes to Homeward, and then whatever you put on the contract goes to the title company. So usually 1% would go to the title company. Homeward holds the other 1%, and then when they buy it back, it's credited to them at closing.
Perfect.
And then another cool thing is when they apply with Homeward, it doesn't lower their credit score. We only do a soft credit pull, and we fully underwrite before they're approved because we need to make sure that they can buy the house back from us. So it doesn't cost them anything for us to underwrite them. They're not obligated to use us. So they can keep it in their back pocket and then pull it out when it makes sense. When you say, like, I know a lot of this is kind of, you said it's an advanced group. So say you have a sale contingent buyer and they may be able to get an offer accepted, a sale contingent offer. You can make 2 offers on the same home. You can make one that's a little bit higher, sale contingent, and a cash offer for a little lower and see what the sellers want. Maybe they want better terms. So then you have 2 options that they can choose from.
I like that idea too.
Yeah.
So I assume when you sell it back to the buyer, you're selling it for the same price that you guys bought it for.
Yes, exactly. Same purchase price.
And if it's cash, then you're not getting an appraisal, right? And then when they have to buy it back from you, then it's financed and then there's an appraisal, right? So what if it doesn't appraise?
Good question. So we have, how we handle this is during the inspection period, Homeward orders and pays for a desktop appraisal. So it comes in during their option or their inspection period. And then say let's run through a scenario. So you have a buyer, they have a home they need to sell first. So they're a trade-in buyer. They make an offer for $400,000. So we do the desktop appraisal, or we have somebody do it. And then it comes in at $390,000. They decide during their inspection period if they're comfortable with and able to move forward, and knowing that there's an appraisal shortage. And then they would cover that appraisal shortage after they've sold their home, when they're buying it back from us with either Homeward Mortgage or another lender. If they don't want to, they back out, they keep their earnest money deposit. So we do that. So they have information, we have information on what the home's going to appraise for. So then later on, we buy the house, they're buying it back from us, they do a final appraisal. If that final appraisal comes in lower than that initial appraisal that we did, then they can back out and keep their earnest money deposit and any appraisal shortages that they were on the hook for. So they get to keep that, we'll eat that cost. So it protects the buyer and they can bet on that desktop appraisal that they had initially. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. That was my next question.
Cool. Yeah, so kind of rolling through that again, their earnest money deposit would be 8%.
I got it.
Cool. So the earnest money deposit would be 8%. They do the inspection, looks good. We move forward, we close on the home. I didn't mention this in the last meeting, but the timelines for buy before you sell, Homeward can close with the sellers in 21 days. So it's a quicker close. For buy with cash, it's 14 days is the fastest that we can close. So you can leverage a faster close as well. So we close 21 days and then they can move into the new house. You list and sell their current house, then they're buying it back from Homeward. At that time, they're on the hook for rent and a convenience fee. So on a $400,000 home, rent is $93 a day. So we'll multiply it by the days that we held the home. 93 times, let's just say 30 days. So $2,800 in rent, line item at closing. And then their convenience fee, let's say they go with Homeward Mortgage when they're buying the house back, because we have competitive rates. They bring other pre-approvals to the table, everything looks good, and they use Homeward Mortgage. Their convenience fee would be $5,600. So they can either pay that as a line item at closing, or they can add it to the sales price. So they'd be buying it for $405,600 with their new mortgage. And it's just rolled into their monthly payments. So that's kind of an example of what a process would look like. Super high level overview. We can get it more into the details one-on-one too. If you have a client in mind, you want to talk through a scenario, see if it's a good fit for them. We'll connect offline and we can talk about specific clients. But does anyone have questions about anything?
For the sake of the video, will you re-explain to me what program is the program that you can do the 1.9%, and then how do you get that basically down to a zero convenience fee?
Yeah, so for either program, the convenience fee is 1.9% if they're buying back with an outside lender. If they're going buy before you sell, like they have a home they need to sell, we're taking on more risk. So their convenience fee, if they use Homeward Mortgage, is 1.4%. So they get a 0.5% credit at closing. If they don't have a home to sell, they're just buy with cash, they get a 1.9% credit at closing. So their net convenience fee would be 0% if they're doing buy with cash and using Homeward Mortgage.
And what are the closing costs with Homeward Mortgage?
So usually 2 to 3%, just like regular closing costs. And we pay for the first closing. We have our own title company, Homeward Title. So you don't have to use Homeward Title, but that's how we absorb the cost from the first closing. They're only paying for their closing when they're buying the house from us. Yeah. Good questions.
I got just another thing for the validity of this recording. So I know how Homeward was created, but I don't know if they know who Tim Heil is. And can you share us a little bit of background?
Yeah, has anyone heard of Tim Heil? He's a KW agent. Cool. So he started this back in 2018. He's an agent, so it's created by an agent, which is why it's really tailored around helping agents. And he actually did the first buy before you sell transaction with his own savings for a friend. So his client, he purchased their new home with his savings. They moved into it. He listed and sold the house they were in, and then they bought it back from him with a mortgage. So he got that, like he solved that sale contingent issue, and then was like, well, this is great. Like let's build something out of it. And then he created Homeward. And now we do around 150 transactions a month.
Tim Heil is a genius. I remember when he first got started, he was one of the youngest Keller Williams agents to become a multimillionaire and then work through the MRA model and become a mega agent. Great guy. I've attended multiple trainings of his. So when Hazel reached out, I definitely was intrigued.
So I'm assuming this is like nationwide as well. So if we had a buyer going somewhere else, like the contingent offer out of state, everything like that, we could potentially use this to simplify things a little bit.
Good question. So we're not nationwide yet. We're only in Texas, Colorado, and Georgia. So we can purchase in one of those 3 states. Say you have a client from New York that's moving to Colorado, we can help them. You know, if they're listing in New York, as long as they're buying in one of those 3 states, then they can use Homeward. Does that make sense?
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Plans on expanding as you guys go?
Yes, definitely. We just want to expand the right way. We don't want to launch in markets and then drop the ball, because agents and word of mouth, they're amazing. Agents are like the best word spreaders, but if you don't do it the right way, then you're doomed. So we're trying to do it the right way, make sure we're scaling properly.
Right on. Any other question? Carol says, any literature?
Yeah, so homeward.com, there's information for buyers and sellers they can go through, and then also an agent FAQ that like commonly asked questions. I'll put my information in the chat too. I'll reach out to you guys and see if you have any questions. Anyone that you want to walk through a scenario with. I'm happy to jump on a 3-way call too, if you guys want me to explain it to your clients. Yeah, did you have a question?
My mouse is dying on batteries, but yeah, I have a couple clients that I'd like to kind of walk through with you and just see before reaching out to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Perfect.
I'll get you everybody's contact info. Anything else before I end this recording?